Takanashi Yusuke. Yeah. So basically, Takanashi Yusuke, in my mind, is actually the greatest player of all time, at least from my point of view and a modern Othello point of view. Even though he only has 5 world championship titles to his name right now, and the record holder is actually Hideshi Taminori from Japan, having 7 titles. But I think I think Othello became quite a different world post the kind of invention or of software where perfect moves are being practiced. So I think even at the peak level of performance, I would say Takanashi Yusuke might have arguably been at the peak. Of course, probably the people from the older generation would probably beg to differ, because I understand that Hideshi Taminori was such a monster when he played, and I think he won all 7 of the World Othello Championships that he's attended. And I think even for Japan qualification, that is already as hard as it is right now. It used to be a very do or die situation back in the past for Japan as well. So yeah, definitely equal respect to Hideshi Taminori. But for me, I guess since I was kind of playing Othello more from the start of 2008, it's always been Takanashi Yusuke for me. And since 2009, he's been to 8 World Othello Championships, and he's won 5 of them, and 3 of them of which he entered the semifinals, and actually mostly the finals. He lost 2 finals, and I think he lost 1 semifinal in 2016. So it's just amazing for me how this guy is performing. I mean, just qualifying for Japan in the modern era now is so tough. It's almost equal to winning the World Othello Championship, and he's done it 8 times. So out of the 8 times, within the World Othello Championship, he's potentially losing to incredible players in only 3 occasions. And I think people who follow me, know that in 2019 World Hotel Championship in Japan, it was initially planned in Hong Kong, but due to the unrest and political, protests going on in Hong Kong, it was actually moved in a short notice to Japan. And when I went to Japan to play my World Hotel Championship, basically I met Takanashi Yusuke in round 12, and in this kind of 6 empties, I actually had like a +4 +6 position, and then thereafter, due to I think rushing my moves and rushing my end game a little too fast, even with much time on the clock, I eventually kind of lost the game. And because of losing round 12, then I think round 13 I kind of went on tilt, and I never really recovered against Jackie in round 13, and it was pretty much put away pretty quickly, and I ended up with 7.5 wins in that World Hotel Championship. I was actually thinking that if I could have converted the Takanashi Yusuke game, I would be able to somehow find a way past round 13 and maybe even qualify for a playoff match to kind of squeeze into the semi-final. But here I am in round 11 of the World Hotel Championship 2024. Kind of before going into this WOC, I was actually thinking that, hey, if I could get 9 wins and an 8th place individual placement, I would be so glad. But I didn't really expect that I would already be in that position at the end of round 11. I mean, yeah, so basically, this game I actually won Takanashi Yusuke and kind of fulfilled one of my long-time dreams. It took me 5 years. I thought back in 2019 I actually lost a lifetime opportunity to beat Takanashi Yusuke, and yet here I am kind of reviewing the game. So let's talk about the game a little bit more. Takanashi Yusuke actually surprisingly opened parallel. I mean, sorry, not parallel, but the Rose branch opening. I was actually kind of expecting him to kind of revisit our game from 5 years ago. So I was expecting c3, but surprisingly he went with c5. And subsequently, when I saw the finals game against Kurita, apparently he wanted to kind of, he probably studied the Rose branch opening a little bit more and wanted to give a little bit of surprise to his opponent. So when he played this, I was kind of surprised that he played it. But at the same time, I did feel that, it's nice to kind of start afresh in that sense. So over here, when he played e6, standard kind of Rose opening sequence, the typical response would be d7, but I think Takanashi wasn't really familiar or didn't expect me to play f7, which is actually a variation that I commonly play online. I actually recall that I learned this from Mr. Ben Seeley from the US, and I even named one of the opening videos as a Seeley counter Rose for this one. And yet, when I spoke to him post this tournament, he actually told me that no, he hardly plays this. But okay, it seems strange. But anyway, I did feel that this variation provided a good element of surprise, and I think he paused for a while, but he went on with the standard response to G3, C4. So this follows quite a standard rose kind of opening rotation. It's just that the difference in move would be just instead of D7, you're occupying F7. So he played out to B4, which is quite a standard rose response to kind of keep to your side of the board, and for me just kind of doing a one disc diagonal cut, and then him picking out a diagonal cut across. So this one, it's kind of still well in my book. If you looked at the live telecast, you would see that the game actually progressed pretty quickly until here. So I think over here I was actually kind of putting G4 on pretty quickly. That is probably like the last of my book move as far as I'm aware, and I think D2 is actually a perfect line. So over here I think maybe the best move was supposed to be, I'm not sure, maybe A6 or F2, but I did kind of use a head and tail theory to kind of play a variation in a way. So D2 being the head, the tail end being B4, and then A5 being the tail end square space that I'll pick it up. And I think he was quite comfortable to just quickly grab the edge on an exchange A4 and then A3. So over here, I took quite a lot of time thinking through this set move. I think if you watch the kind of live replay, actually took maybe some 6-7 minutes or even more just kind of staring at this position. So some of my key considerations was about breaking the wall, right? So I guess you can more or less eliminate H2 almost immediately, because that shape is usually unfavorable, and an early C square this way probably doesn't do any favors. And also I unpoison C7, so you should almost kind of directly eliminate this move, H2 or even G2 to kind of remove the G3 disc. So pretty much my options would be F2, E2, E1, D1, C1, and also C2. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 options. So it's kind of just weighing my options together. I actually thought that I think F2 was probably like a kind of book move, but I think I was already losing at this position, and I think E1 would be possible as well, even C1. Actually, all of the options seemed playable, but I think so for starters is that you can probably eliminate C2 almost immediately, because C2 and maybe even D1 would actually result in a tough spot for me, and if I played this, it would just simply end up this way, and he would enter an easy creep. So the interesting thing about Takanashi's game is that it seems like the top players like to play like a slightly higher risk, but a kind of an edge creep to kind of quickly win the game. So in a way, I think he wanted an easy win from me. So I didn't really think C2 would make sense. And if I did E2, maybe he would simply just do F1, and then I would kind of still have to jump into his region, and he would still have a couple of moves to kind of play within this area. So I think either way, I would be kind of pulled into his region and probably forced to surrender the corner pretty early. So with that in mind, I guess C2 and E2 almost immediately doesn't work out. If I did C1, he could easily potentially do D1 or even E1, and I'll still be stuck. In a way, I'll still be kind of pulled into his board, I guess. Over here, I was a bit concerned about this kind of play out. And if I did E1, similar things would happen over here to C1, and then I would then be kind of forced to give up the edge, perhaps. And it would be really a strong edge for black. So I think remaining considerations were just D1 and F2, pretty much. And D1 basically draws E2, maybe an exchange of tempo either on F3 or C2, but then again he kind of regroups and cut in. I don't think this playout actually looks very great for me. I think I'll be basically stuck with the edge, and he would be nicely nestled in the center. So I thought to myself, I thought probably F2, logically speaking, was the best option. So thinking through the whole sequence, I kind of arrived at my own kind of book move, and then it was a really very quick response from him to F3. So of course the F2's concern is that if F3, and if I go just a simple E2, he would just go F1 again and just kind of creep on the edges, and then I would have a tough time again. So the reason for kind of f2 and f3, the follow-up, what I would do is basically do a different kind of move, which is basically controlling this E column line by playing c1. So the kind of intention here is to firstly kind of utilize what f2 was and g3's position, and e1 would then be poisoned. And also if he plays f1, I would kind of be nestled in the center by playing e2. But in the end he did choose the kind of logical d1. So over here, interestingly, on hindsight, I did kind of want to see, I guess e1 wouldn't work because I would flip these two discs in two directions, and black would just simply play a clean f1 and I would pretty much lose out. So that didn't really make sense. And if I did play c2, he could just simply poison the move that way. So it wouldn't really result in a very good shape for me. So my only choice was to just grab the edge pretty much, and then that kind of results in two little pockets over here in c2 and e2 where black is not able to access either one of those. So thereafter he did play the logical option, which was h4 to kind of just cut a very long row of discs, and at the same time create multiple discs that creates access b4, c4, e4, and basically a couple of discs that results in his access to these two pockets. And I would then have to kind of choose between defending these two pockets and also a third choice to g5 that he's threatening to actually do like a control of a mini diagonal control. So having that in mind, I did think, so just to kind of counteract g5 in the future from him, I do need to kind of make the d3 disc white so that I can have like a g6 to play to if he does g5. So at the same time, with that in mind, I think pretty much c2 or e2 would be the considerations. The problem with C2, right, was that he could play two consecutive moves, which in Japanese terms are called renda, and that's a easy tempo win by him. So if he does this, and if I place this, he could simply just go in, or he could even grab the edge and retain an extra move, and I would pretty much be, dead in that position. So even if I did this, and he defended this, it will still be a very nice sequence for him. So yeah, just visualizing that, I pretty much had no choice but to just go e2, so I did e2. So after that, he played g5 pretty quickly. I think he was very comfortable with this shape, so he really formed a very nice block shape over here where I didn't have any access. Takanashi is great at isolating areas, so I pretty much didn't have much of a choice, because if I played something like h3, he would just simply maybe just grab the edge and it was done. I wouldn't have enough moves. Yeah, pretty much done. So I wouldn't be able to do that. And if I did h6 and he went h5 and I did g6, I guess it would still be somewhat playable. The problem with letting him form a solid edge right now is that even if I did this, he would still be able to do something like this and control this mini diagonal. So I didn't really want that to happen. So basically my only choice would then be a natural g6 where he doesn't even have immediate access to h7, so that puts me in a very good position in a way to kind of make him chase the move a little bit. So he did a clean cut to f8 to chase f5 disc to give him the access to a nice h7, or even in the future picking up h5. So over here I just did a quick h6, which is quite a standard response to kind of poison this move. And then he quickly played h5. So this was actually quite a trap move, because if I were to kind of do the simple approach of just grabbing the edge and then he just goes c2, and then I'm pretty much probably trapped. I would still have maybe e7 in the future, and then I guess in this position he would be able to play something like maybe even g1, and if I tried to do a stoner, he would still be able to go into the x square. Let's see. So interestingly enough, I then kind of quickly decided that I'll do a x square just to kind of mix things up a bit. I'm not exactly sure whether this was a winning position. I should probably check the game. But it seems like I was probably at a disadvantage. In fact, I was thinking maybe he should have gone c2 over here, and then it would be probably quite tough for me. I would then be probably forced to h3, and he could then just play a simple c7 in a way, and potentially I could be trapped here. So yeah, even if I did h7 and this, I think I would still be in a losing position pretty much. Yeah, a very big losing position. No, just a small one. It's -4. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I kind of felt that he could have just gone down that way and just sealed off the game, but instead he decided to kind of cut over to his side to make it more complicated. Yeah. So this was kind of a forced move for me. It's very obvious. I just need to cut out and pen for like just wait for some of the moves for him to create more moves for me. So over here, this was the move that kind of surprised me. He was kind of running short on time, and I was surprised that he played c8. I think what he wanted was basically for me to just go into e7 and he can play this, and I would just play e8 and he would just play this, and it would be a simple kind of wrap up for him. I think that was probably what he was gunning for, but yeah. So basically I just played d8 just to kind of wait for e8 to happen, and I'll just simply jump in and I will still be able to protect this mini diagonal, and once he's gone in, I can still play a diagonal control and force him to give up key squares. I think I would be winning in this position. Yeah, so just be -4 for him, but felt definitely winning in that position, probably the corner. Yeah. Okay. So just going back to the original game, he went in and then surprisingly after that he played e7. I felt like maybe e7 he was just hoping for me to just jump in here. Oh, okay, so actually this was a winning move. Interesting. So if I did this, I would then probably just have to go g8, perhaps? I don't know. Maybe I should just take h. Let me just check. Oh, surprisingly, it's actually b7. Probably, with deeper thought, you'll probably be able to get that. Oh yeah, probably defeat the swindle because he has no choice but to play this. If he does take something like this, I'll be able to go in, and if he does take the standard a7 to sweep, I'll be able to swindle. Interesting. And if he does this, I would be able to feed off this, and this, and this. Okay. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Okay, but over here I decided to play a clean b8, which I thought that it would give him a lot of pressure because he wouldn't be able to play any of these moves since it would be a swindle for me. So thereafter he played c2. So interestingly, I missed the best move over here. Just kind of re-looking at this game, the best move I think under review was actually e8, but I was kind of afraid that e8, h8, and then I would be forced in this position. So if I played g8 and he took the corner, I'll still be able to kind of do a Landau maneuver, and if he took this, I'll be able to slot in and gain parity potentially. Then it'll be fairly easy win for me. Yeah, so this is something I greatly missed, and also at the same time I went from like a +6 to a -4, I believe. So interestingly over here, Takanashi was short of time, but you know, I was surprised he didn't catch h8. h8 was actually by far the best move. And if he played h8, I basically couldn't really respond to either h7, or I also wouldn't be able to defend to h3. I would still have to kind of give h7 away. And if I did take this, and he went maybe this move, I would still be kind of stuck. So even if I could do this, I think he was probably afraid of this x square and the swindle, so maybe that was his concern. Even if he did this, still be able to do this. Yeah, I guess his main concern was about giving away the pockets of spaces for the swindle, I guess. Yeah. So interestingly, he didn't catch this. I felt extremely lucky to kind of, you know, have him fall for this, because this move was interestingly similar to our game 5 years ago in which I missed the end game. And yeah, interestingly enough, this time I managed to catch a intersecting move that helped me gain back parity. So once I got e8, I was threatening b7 to kind of obtain the interior disc, so he had to cover. And once he covered it, I'll be able to just play h7 and just secure parity. And over here there was one more trap, I think. Let me just take a look at the readings. Yeah, so over here again, I was thinking to myself that actually I felt extremely winning, but at the same time I almost thought that b1 was the winning move. But if I did b1 and he did this, I might be put in position whereby I would lose the kind of diagonal control over here. So I would then skip a move and I would eventually probably lose the game, not having enough discs. So interestingly, when I saw this, I did feel like I was winning, but I wasn't sure where exactly I should play. If I played F1, B1, I wouldn't have like pretty much any parity, and he would have like a full control. So again, the problem here is that I don't have B7, so just kind of looking through the B2 move, that was the only way I could create B7. So that's why I just played B7, and surprisingly, when I counted a lion, I was actually pretty much ahead. So he was short of time, and also the top right region was kind of like a parity region, whereby if he played F1, I'll still be able to get H1, and I'll still be able to control parity in that 3 square region. So he played a corner, and without a doubt, this is a very countable situation. So I went with A2. So at this moment, I if you look at the live replay, I was really just kind of holding my eyes, all my eyelids together, because I was really kind of tearing up, because I thought to myself in 2019 when I lost the opportunity to beat Takanashi Yusuke in the last 6 empties. I really thought to myself that I just kind of miss the last chance that I have in my lifetime to beat a great champion like him. And he's my idol and also my personal friend, since he's also been on the YouTube channel quite often, and he himself has a YouTube channel as well. So it's pretty amazing to kind of share the friendship and also share table 1 at round 11, even in the later stages of the World of Title Championship. So just coming into this tournament, I didn't really have much expectations. So I think I really got very emotional towards the tail end of this game to find out that, I was actually in a winning position. And finally, the closeout was just a very straightforward parity win. So the B7 disc that I created earlier allowed me to kind of take the diagonal and then create a parity region. So it was pretty much sealed up. So as I played this last move, I was extremely moved and extremely touched just to kind of finish this game. Even though Takanashi had set maybe 5 or 6 traps along the way, I don't know. I was kind of lucky to kind of spot them and avoid them. So yeah, I was so extremely touched to be able to play this game with him, like after 5 years of not joining the World of Title Championship from 2019, and just kind of waiting patiently due to personal situations. I wasn't able to join the previous World of Title Championships. So yeah, I was pretty much extremely moved and extremely touched here. Basically just kind of replaying this game and feeling all the emotions come back to me right now, and just recording this video really makes me think that it's been worthwhile just kind of waiting for the chance to play him again. So I definitely look forward to more games with him in the future. I kind of feel that Takanashi Yusuke, he's probably not at his very peak best as compared to maybe 5 years ago or maybe 7 years ago, but at the same time, I do feel that he really put a lot of heart into the game, and I really admire him for that. So really thank you very much, Takanashi Yusuke, for completing the game with me, and I really enjoyed it very much. So to kind of say that this victory is the greatest game of my career, it would even be an understatement, because there was so much emotions involved that I guess in a way the emotions eventually overflowed into round 12 and round 13. Just clinching the 9th win out of 11 rounds, achieving my target at the end of round 11 instead of at the end of round 13, just kind of with 2 rounds to go. Typically you would need 10 wins to enter the semifinals to kind of contest for the world title. I was just 1 win away with 2 games in hand, so basically I have 2 match points, right? So extremely grateful to have the opportunity to come to the World of Title Championship and play this game that I love. So I just wanted to kind of review this game and share my thoughts and emotions with all of you, and hopefully you did enjoy this analysis, and I'll see you at the next round. Goodbye.